The Porsche 911 GTS, despite being one of the last iterations of the now outgoing 997 series, is perhaps the version closest to the heart of what Porsche's flagship model represented in this generation. The GTS slots into the 911 range just above the Carrera S, offering 23 more horsepower and with an asking price of about $11,000 more. That still leaves plenty of breathing room for the far more powerful and dearer 911 Turbo in the upper reaches. Our test car feels like a typically trimmed example of this middle child too. Fitted with a standard rear drive instead of the optional all-wheel drive, and with Porsche's PDK dual-clutch transmission in place of the standard 6-speed manual. We almost always prefer to row Porsche's sweet manual gearbox, but PDK is competent enough that paddle shifting doesn't really get us down. The dual clutch is fast on downshifts, and generally more involving than a typical automatic by some margin. Acceleration offered up from the 3.8 liter is stirring by objective measure, with a 0 to 60 time of 4.0 seconds for our GTS with the Sport Chrono Plus package. Still, we'd argue that the all-wheel drive equipped Carrera 4, despite its power deficit, pushes us back in our seats a bit harder, especially when we're doing a launch-controlled start. As you can see, we had rainy conditions during the bulk of our week-long test with the GTS, but frankly, the wet didn't get in the way of us enjoying the car on some of our pet roads. When powered by the back wheels only, modern 911s like the GTS still show us some of the same characterful rear engine handling traits that have made the 911 legend. Feeling the mass of the engine rotating around the center point of the car takes some getting used to, for sure, but it's a progressive action that is ultimately really rewarding to master. Put on an undulating road like our test route, and you'll find the GTS to be a purveyor of satisfying weight transfer and flat cornering. Steering feel isn't quite so good as that found in Porsche's own Cayman, though it is still informative overall regarding what's happening with both the tires and the road. In slightly more staid driving circumstance, using Porsche's default suspension and engine map settings makes the GTS a quick but laid-back car. Only the too firm ride keeps it from being luxurious outright. However, we mostly drove in the far more aggressive Sport and Sport Plus modes, with their improved throttle response and suspension firmness. Deploying the full voice of the GTS via the button for the dual mode exhaust is also a good way to make your drive a bit more thrilling. In short, the 911 GTS is a sort of just right blend of Porsche goodness that we can really get behind. Though the turbos or GT3s of the range may be more involving overall, and the all-new 991 series an intriguing prospect, the GTS shows that the average 911 is no bad place to spend time for drivers.